them I really don't care. The Giants this year are going nowhere. And the Cowboys haven't won since Jordan and Pippen were a pair. You are now watching a Philly Fuego production. Gracias, amigos. Fly, Eagles, fly. Welcome to the Nest Out West, where Eagles fans are always the best. I will always ride or die for this team, and when I'm gone, please bury me in green. Now I don't want to come off like I'm bragging, but I'ma bring the heat like an effing dragon. You can call me Fuego, aka Phillyzilla, coming to you like the Thriller in Manila. Lots of collabs and live streams galore. You're gonna love what I have in store. Giving you my all, I always will try. And just remember, it's fly, Eagles, fly. Yeah.
What is good? What is going on? And what is cracking? I'm Philly Foothills, and I am back in the Nest Out West, where I'm trying to bring you the best when it comes to Philadelphia Eagles content on YouTube. And today, to my left, I got my guy, Hunter Doyle of Insider Podcast, or Philly Insider Podcast, correct? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. How you doing, my guy? I know you've been busy. I know you just moved back to college. So let everybody know how you've been doing, what's going on with you, and where they can find you at and all that good stuff.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate you having me on first and foremost. And I gotta get myself one of those mugs now that I saw that on the intro video, man. So I just wanted to say that. But yeah, I mean, been busy, but I'm still following the Eagles. I wasn't able to watch the last game live, but I caught a lot of the replay. And yeah, you guys can find my work at InsideEagles.com, where I do a lot of writing, and then I'm also doing film breakdowns and covering the team and all Philly sports on Philly Insider Podcast. So Foothills, we were talking about it a couple times before the stream. Been meaning to do this collab for a while, and guys, keep an eye out. We're gonna have one on my channel as well. So appreciate you again, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, you guys, the link to his channel, to Philly Insider Podcast, is in the description. Make sure you guys go sub him up. Go let him know. Go show him the love. Let him know Foothill sent you. And we're definitely gonna get things going here. But like I said, and you said, you're definitely glad we could get this thing going. You said we've been really meaning to get this thing done for a little while. So yeah, really happy we could do this. And yeah, I want all my Phillies and all the Eagles Nation to definitely welcome Hunter into the nest. He's a really smart kid. So I think you have a really, really good insight on things. So that's why I wanted to get you in here and definitely pick your brain a little bit. Yeah, absolutely, my guy.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, so couple quick questions before we jump into some Eagles stuff. Obviously, where did you grow? Just so my some of my Philbillies can get to know you a little bit better, as well. Right. Where did you grow up, and have you always been an Eagles fan?
Yeah, so I grew up about 45 minutes from Philadelphia. I went to school technically in the city, right on the border between Philadelphia and a suburb. So I grew up around it. I mean, my school was also my church, and every Sunday, Eagles fans wearing jerseys to church, and every Friday I wore my Eagles jersey to school and all that. So I just kind of grew up around the culture and just fell in love with it as a kid. I mean, I remember my first Eagles season watching the team was when Jeff Garcia was our baby and Dante Stallworth was balling out. So I fell in love with Garcia and Stallworth that year. Unfortunate ending against the Saints, but yeah, ever since then, I've just been a diehard fan. Never missed a game with my dad. I mean, only times I missed a game with my dad have been since I came to college. So, and the one time I came back a couple years ago, a fun story was we had planned before the season to go to that Week 16 game against Dallas, where we had the practice squad out there, and we still beat them. So that was an awesome memory to, not be with my dad most of the season, but still be following along with him, and then go to that game with him. So I have a lot of special memories as an Eagles fan. So I'm a diehard fan. Philly till I die. Appreciate it. Appreciate you asking me, because I love telling some stories about my Eagles fandom.
Yeah, definitely. And I really remember that year with Jeff Garcia, and like you said, Dante Stallworth, especially because I'm from Northern California, born and raised, and Dante Stallworth actually went to Grant High School, which is in the same city. Basically, it's a suburb of Sacramento, but Grant High School is right there in the area, and yeah, I'm very familiar with. I was very familiar with him, going into college and things like that. Because
Mhm.
yeah, I got to watch him firsthand in high school, and I knew that
Wow.
he was a step above everybody else. He was just faster. He could pretty much jump higher
Right.
than everybody else. Things like that.
Yeah.
You can usually tell in high school when guys have that gift. They usually shows pretty early. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the man. That's super cool.
Yeah, I used to have one of his jerseys. I'm gonna have to. I don't know what I even had. What happened to it? It must be buried somewhere. I definitely.
Yeah,
I used to have one of his jerseys, definitely, and yeah, I used to rock the number. What number did he wear? Number. I want to say was it 18?
18.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yes, sir. Absolutely. That's
You
the
gotta
number
dig
that
that
pops
up.
in my head. Yeah, definitely. Got to get that out for sure. But yeah, you know, I've been an Eagles fan. I was not born into it, and then I don't have any, I don't have any family connection to it either. I don't have anybody from the area or anything like that. Just as a very, very young teenager, an adolescent, I wanted to go my own path. Both my parents were 49ers fans. They were both born
Gotcha.
and raised. I'm not. My dad was actually born in Canada and then moved to the North Bay area in Northern California in middle school, but my mom was born and raised in San Francisco. So them being both San Francisco 49er fans, I kind of wanted to just choose my own path. And
Right. Right.
you know, as you can see in the, I don't know if you can see the artwork in the background, but I have the Rocky. I'm a big Rocky fan. Absolutely, first and foremost.
Love it.
That's where my fandom. I think that's where my real love for the city of Philadelphia really first developed. I really kind of opened my eyes to the really like fighting spirit of that city and things like that, and I
Right.
just really, really grew to love that blue collar mentality. That hard
Yeah.
working. Because that's me. That's a lot
Right.
of what I've done as an adult too. So, and also my brother, he jumped ship when he was in high school. He was a Broncos fan, even though he was born in San Francisco. Kind of weird, but he was a Broncos fan up until the Cowboys started winning in the '90s, and then he jumped ship. They jumped
Oh,
ship to the Cowboys. So I think that definitely reinforced. I was like, and it was around the same time that Randall Cunningham was. That's when I first started watching the Eagles when Cunningham was really balling out and at the top of
yeah.
his game and things like that. So yeah, I've been a fan for quite a while, definitely. So yeah, I bleed
Love
green,
that, man.
absolutely, and I will till the day I die.
Yeah. Cunningham era was a fun. I didn't watch it, but fun one to watch for sure.
Definitely, absolutely, without a doubt. So let's see here. What's the next thing I was going to ask you? Oh yeah, I know you're young. So how old are you? And what do you? And I know you're going to college, but I wanted you to
Right.
go into a little more detail about what you're doing right now.
Yeah, so I'm 20. I just turned 20 this past summer and I'm going into my junior year in college. So studying business economics right now, but we'll see. That's one of my routes I'm looking to go, but I'm also thinking about, obviously I'm thinking about sports writing because I'm doing a lot of blogging. I'm doing an internship with Phillies Nation right now, which I
Right.
have absolutely loved this summer. So there's
It's
obviously
amazing.
a lot of options on the table. I'd be open to almost anything. My dream is to really do something with film study in football, but that's just something where you're just continually learning, which I love about that. I mean, I love doing the film breakdowns, but there's always stuff that I learn from people in the comments or people on Twitter like Greg Cosell, and like I said, there's always something to learn there. So I have a passion for film. I have a passion for learning more about film. So maybe it's coaching. Maybe I get my foot in the door and do some high school coaching. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's scouting or something at some point. We'll see. There's a lot of things I really want to do down the road, but that's kind of what I'm looking at right now, trying to keep as many options open as possible, even if it's baseball, football, business stuff. I would love to do sports marketing, or ideally I'd love to work in sports, but you know, wherever God leads me. So we'll see. I just love talking about sports, as you can tell.
Absolutely. Yes, and you're good at it too. So that doesn't hurt either.
Thank you.
I know as fans, if you're a pretty good communicator, it comes pretty naturally. You know what I mean?
Yes,
We definitely love talking about sports. We love talking about especially our Eagles. 100%.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I commend you for having so many good paths that you could possibly go down. That's really good. Keep up the hard work. Keep doing what you're doing
Thank
because
you.
you're 20 years old, man. Definitely, that's a really fun age to be. So enjoy it, definitely. Soak it
Very
all
much
in.
so.
Yes. That's actually the age I got married at 20 years old.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been married for almost for going on, over 19 years now. Yeah, we're into our 20th
Wow.
year.
Coming up
Yeah.
on 20. So,
Yes,
hey,
absolutely.
early congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I
Yeah,
appreciate
of
it.
course.
Yeah, so what sports did you play in high school or when you were younger, and what positions?
Yeah, so I played baseball all throughout high school from the time I was a kid up until high school. I played baseball. Didn't play in college, but I played catcher in high school. Never played catcher before that. I mean, I ended up I loved it for the pitch calling, but when it came to having to block pitches in the dirt and squat down for like hours upon hours, that was not something I enjoyed very much. My
Right.
knees are still feeling it to this day.
I
So
bet.
especially not catching before high school, like it just took everything out of my knees. Since I hadn't been doing like the proper exercise or anything. And I went to a small high school. Like I wasn't there, trying to get into college for baseball or trying to continue or anything. So I wasn't doing like proper exercise or everything to keep my legs good every day, except maybe wall sits and stretching out my legs and all that. But yeah, I love baseball. Basketball, I play for fun. I mean, I played in middle school for a little bit as a center, but I was mostly just center because I was one of the bigger kids on the team. But when I play pickup, I love to just play 2-on-2, and I usually the farther I get from the basket, the better I am, which is super weird. But love playing some pickup, and I love playing flag football. I love playing any sport, but baseball was the one I played the most for sure. Looking back on it, I wish I had played football, and I'd love to play today in just like a semi-pro league or something like that, just because I love the strategy of it now. One concussion and I'll probably call it because I don't want to get into that. But yeah, how about you? I mean, any sports that you did when you were younger or still do to this day?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely played. I played high school football. I didn't. I wasn't necessarily a starter just because. Let's just say there was lots of distractions that kind of got in my
Mm,
way. But
yeah,
I did play. Yeah, I did play all. Let's see. I played 3 out of the 4 years because my freshman year, I half the year I did independent study, and then I missed the football season. But I played my sophomore, junior, senior year, and yeah, I used to play. I played tight end. I played a little bit of
nice.
linebacker, uh, more defensive end than linebacker. But
Okay,
yeah, I definitely. And then I played some offensive line as well. They used to put me in a little bit of guard, but
gotcha. Did it
yeah,
all.
absolutely, yeah. I love playing. I always loved playing basketball.
Yeah,
I didn't really play for my high school team or anything like that, but I've always been a pickup guy, a pickup basketball guy. Definitely enjoyed
yeah.
that 100%. And yeah, I mean, I'm just a really competitive guy by nature. 100,
Same.
I'll sit down and even play some chess or play some checkers or cards or
Yep.
whatever. Battleship, whatever you want to call
Right. Right.
it. Uno. Yeah, I mean,
Love
there's
that.
definitely, yeah, so definitely competitive spirit by nature, and yeah, I mean, and I swam in high school a little bit as well. My senior
Oh
year,
wow.
yeah, yeah, I'm a pretty strong swimmer. My mom, fortunately enough for me, my mom at a very young age introduced me to water, so I'm very very comfortable in water. I've been in
Yeah.
water since before I could walk, when I was in diapers. So yeah, absolutely,
That's awesome.
and it's come in handy actually. I've saved a couple of people's lives in my days
Mm,
being a strong swimmer. So yeah, it's
right.
and actually, and being a strong swimmer and being knowledgeable of river currents and things like that, it actually saved my own life before
Mhm.
I was being stupid and swimming out in a river without a life jacket
Yep.
on. Any of you young kids out there with the summer fun, please be careful. Make sure if you're going swimming deep in the rivers, make sure you wear life jackets. It's always better to be safe than sorry. You know what I mean?
Thanks. I know
Yeah,
our guy Lucas in the chat is a big basketball guy too.
absolutely. Yeah. So you look like are you a pretty tall guy, Hunter?
I was a quick grower, but I kind of plateaued at around 6 foot, 6'1". So
Okay.
didn't grow as tall as I thought I was going to. But I'm not small by any means. So
Yeah, yeah.
where are you at?
I'm a I'm a little underneath you. I'm about 5'10".
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, 5'10", about 225. Yeah.
Okay, normal
Yes,
height.
sir. Yeah. So yeah, and then oh, let's see here. The next question I was going to ask you is what if we haven't talked about it already, what other hobbies besides being an Eagles content creator? Because if you guys haven't checked out his podcast, make sure you guys go check out the Philly Insider podcast. Go check it out. Go sub it up.
Yeah. I mean, love writing, like I said. So we talked about that a little bit. Love
Yeah.
playing pickup. A lot of the guys at Philly Insider with me. So we have around, unlike most pages, we have around like 6 guys that will have kind of come on and off, just depending on who's available.
Yeah.
Um, love playing basketball with all those guys. So we do that a lot. I'm a big TV and movie guy. Like I wouldn't say I'm a movie buff or anything like that. Like I don't analyze movies or TV shows, but I just love I love binging shows through like one day. Like that's something I love to do all the time. So going off of that, I'm not sure. I mean, college kind of takes up so much of my time now that I'm not able to do as much stuff as I used to do when I was younger. But um, love trying new cheesesteaks too. That was something I did this summer, was going around to a lot of different cheesesteak spots in Philly. So far, the one I like the most is Woodrow Sandwich Shop. That's the one that I really like. They put chipotle sauce in their cheese whiz, so that was a nice touch that I really liked. But I was sacrilegious. There's a place about 15 minutes from my place in Chicago, and I ended up trying their cheesesteak because they are like a Philly-based place. It definitely wasn't like it is in the city, but I wouldn't say it was one of the worst either. So I was impressed, but I love trying cheesesteaks as well. How
Yeah,
about you?
that'd have been cool if you did like a video blog about that.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
cheesesteaks.
I
That'd be
should have
pretty.
done that.
That's a good idea. You could do it.
Yeah,
You can do it next time you're in Philly. You're in the
exactly.
area. Yeah.
Definitely.
So you're going to school in Chicago right now, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Very cool. So
Yeah.
you said
Love it out here.
you're in your sophomore or junior year?
Junior year.
Okay. Gotcha. Awesome. Yeah, that's definitely fun times. Yeah, they
Yeah.
definitely enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm trying to go through some of these comments here to catch up a little bit. Yeah,
Yep.
thank you guys everybody for being in the live stream so far. We appreciate you. Definitely. Like the ticker says down below, make sure if you haven't done so already, make sure you go sub up my man here, Hunter Doyle. He's doing lots of good things. He's a young and up and comer. We're making YouTube turn greens. Help us with that. Definitely go sub him up. Go like and subscribe. Go share his content. Hit that thumbs up. Always go watch some of his content. Hit that thumbs up. Make sure you hit that on this live stream too, because it always helps push our content out there. It helps get more eyes on it. It helps with the algorithm on YouTube and all that good stuff. So yeah, definitely help us out. Show the love.
Appreciate it.
Joe Castro's in the house. What's up, my guy?
Man.
I know you can participate in it yesterday, but we did our YouTube
Fantasy.
content creator fantasy draft. Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Castro was a part of that. So he's not liking the projection so far though, because they're not looking too good for him.
Hey, I got a D draft grade, so I don't know.
Did you?
I think I just overloaded on running backs and wide receivers. Because I was the last to pick a quarterback and tight end and kicker. I don't even have a kicker right now. I ended up going for an extra bench piece, and I was like, I'll figure that out when the time comes week one, hoping someone gets hurt so I can put them on my IR. But yeah, so I mean, it makes you feel better, Joe. I have the worst projections of anyone right now, but I'm still feeling confident in my team.
What's the name of your team?
Rallis Palace after Nick Rallis, the linebackers coach.
Okay,
Had to do it.
that's right. Okay, yeah, very cool. Yes. So you were able to do that while you were moving. You were able to actually draft still. That's good.
Yeah, I was. I didn't realize until the draft that it was a 14-team league. So the
Right.
snake picks with having it in between, having so much time in between, I was able, even though I was on the go, I was able to still pick.
That's
And
good.
I've been in draft mode for a little bit now, so I have a good idea of like what guys I'm looking at this year. So I was good on it.
Yeah, you definitely have your range, right? You know who's on your radar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, shout out to Primetime with Stephen Joyce. Thank you for joining us. If you
Yes.
guys haven't done so already, make sure you guys go sub him up. The link there is in the channel in the
Yes.
chat there. He's giving away. He's already reached 50. Once we get him to 100, so once now that he's reached 50 subscribers, Primetime with Stephen Joyce, I'm speaking of, he's giving away 2 jerseys, a signed Jalen Hurts and a signed Devontae Smith. Once he gets to 100, he's giving away Eagles Chiefs tickets. So make sure you guys go subscribe to his channel if you haven't done so already. Let everybody know about the crazy giveaways that he's having, because as long as, even though he's already reached, he hasn't given them away yet. He's not giving away the 40 and I don't know if he actually did that today or not. Stephen Joyce, if you have already, actually let me know. But I don't think he has, because I didn't hear anything about that yet. But you guys want to be in the drawing for all that stuff, make sure you guys go like, subscribe, and share Prime Time with Stephen Joyce right here. Make sure you guys go hit that link, go sub him up. Definitely. Thank you. I appreciate it. Let's get him to 100 so we can get somebody those tickets. Let's do it. And thank you so much, Prime Time, for being so very, very generous with those giveaways, because that's amazing. Absolutely, 100%. Shout out to Lucas Hallman. Thank you for joining us. He said, I see Hunter at college. Can you tell by the doorbell?
Yes, sir.
The dorm bed.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. He's back in the comforts of the dorms.
Yes, indeed.
Yep. Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, lost my place. 1 second. And my knees are pretty good, even though I have a huge scar on my knee from it was an accident when I was chasing my friend down a hill when I was I think I was about 13 years old, and right towards the bottom of the hill, there was a log, and we were real close to. I was real close to him running, and there was a log across the path, and I tripped over the log. He didn't, but I did. Tripped over the log, and I smacked my knee against a granite boulder. And it didn't do any damage to my knee internally, but it just split the skin like a cantaloupe. I mean, it was. So I'd have like 30 stitches.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I literally could see that like the inside of my leg. It was pretty nasty.
Oh,
yeah,
that's nasty.
It was pretty gruesome. But yeah, to answer your question, Richie MC, back's a little iffy, being almost 40, but the knees are still pretty good. Definitely. Thank you for asking. I appreciate it. Definitely.
Thanks.
Thank you, Richie. I appreciate you.
Yes.
Coach Dante. Thank you so
What's
much.
up, Coach
What's
Dante?
going on, my guy? Thank you. I appreciate you joining the live stream. You're always welcome, nephew. I appreciate you. Definitely.
That'll be tomorrow, or 2 days from now. So I still got a little bit of time on campus to chillax before we start up classes. But grind for 4 more semesters, and we're almost there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what up, Coach Dante? Definitely. Jock Talk, thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you, Jock Talk.
Yep.
See you in here. I'm doing well. How are you doing, Jock Talk? Let us know.
Yes, sir. All right, Lucas Hallman, appreciate you. He said, I'm subbing Primetime right now. I'm trying to get those Chiefs games. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Lucas, if you do win those, let me know, because I'm actually going to be at that game. That's going to be the very, very first game for your guy here, Philly Foothills Fuego, going to the Eagles game for the very first time with the misses this year. Both of our very first times. We've been to Eagle games here on the West Coast, but not in Philadelphia in the link. So we are very, very excited about that. Very first time ever in Philly. So we are stoked. Absolutely excited. 100%. Let's go. We are juiced. And it's right around the corner. I mean, we're leaving at the end of September. So, because the game's at the beginning of October. So it's literally, it's coming very fast. Very, very fast. And like I wanted to tell you too, because I know you're young. definitely enjoy the time while you have it too, because the older you get, the faster. If you think time goes by fast now, time goes by even faster the older you get. So definitely enjoy your youth, my guy. Absolutely.
I
100.
gotta say, I gotta say a quick hello to Devonte Smith in the chat saying what's up to me. What's up, Devonte?
What's going on? We will, Evil Eagle. We definitely will talk some Jalen Hurts. Mitch Cossey's in the
Palestra,
house.
Penn Quakers basketball court over in Philly. That's my college team. My dad went there, so love that, Mitch.
Nice. Very cool. All right. Let's see here. Okay, so who are your 3 all-time favorite Eagles?
Man, that's a tough one. I mean, obviously my answers are going to be different from most people just because I'm a younger fan for sure.
Of course.
So obviously Dawkins. I mean, Dawkins. I caught the. I mean, kind of the tail end. I caught a good bit of his career, even though I was young. I remember Dawkins very well. I remember using Dawkins and Madden when I was a kid and getting just ton of pick sixes. I mean, thinking about other ones, it's tough. B West was one of my favorites as a kid. I mean, Westbrook, just the way he was used in I love Clyde Edwards-Helaire because he reminds me so much of a, modern era Brian Westbrook because of his ability to run and receive. I mean, just the way Andy Reid utilized him, I thought was cool. And then kind of an oddball one, I love Jason Avant. I mean, such a crafty route runner. I mean, nothing flashy, but the dude was just productive. As long as you had 2 guys on the outside next to him, he was going to do his job. And I love his analysis today too on Inside the Birds. I think he's a great guy, great personality, and a fun player to watch. So those are 3 of my favorites from kind of my era as an Eagles fan. And I turn the question to you as well.
No, I love the answer. Before I answer, I love your answer. I mean, especially the Jason Avant.
Thank you.
He was very underrated as a wide receiver in the NFL. And I say that not because he was overly athletic or overly gifted or put up extraordinary numbers or anything like that. I say that because he was consistently just good. He was so consistent. So consistent. The guy was very, very he was Mr. Consistent. He really was. And
especially in the high leverage situations too.
Yeah. And without his block on the Miracle at the Meadowlands 2,
yes.
That guy probably makes the tackle on Deshaun around on the sideline there. So, or at least he has a very good chance to. So, yeah, I mean, he definitely, absolutely, he's the prototypical team player. You know what I mean?
Oh,
he's
100%
willing to give himself, his body, everything he has for his team and his teammates. So, yeah, I love that answer. And I mean, one of mine is the same of yours is Brian Dawkins, obviously. Yeah, without a doubt. Weapon X was an amazing player, so fun to watch. Sometimes even funner to listen and speak and motivate his teammates. But I mean, amazing player 100%. On the field, 100%. Great motivator, like I said, and just a really, really good person. He's battled through some things in his life, just like we all have. But he's definitely one of my absolute heroes. Yeah, definitely. And definitely, Cunningham's right there, but because of the Super Bowl, you see my guy BG up there. He's definitely my favorite current Eagle, without a doubt. And yeah, he's definitely really, really high on my list of all-time Eagles because I love that guy. I love his energy. I love his infectious personality, everything about him. He's just, I would love to interview him if I could before he's done being an Eagle. I got to make that happen because I would love to have him on my channel. I would just die to have that happen because that would just fill my heart with so much joy because he's he's an amazing guy and I really do enjoy Brandon Graham very much. Without a doubt. Yeah.
Amazing locker room guy too.
Oh yeah. Like I said, just on and off the field, amazing guy, good father, good husband, just good person. He just seems like a really good guy. Somebody you'd like to just sit back and have a beer with. You know what I mean? Just yeah. Just a really, really good individual.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right, so let's see here. 1 second. Oop. Given the circumstances, what are your expectations for our Eagles this year?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely going to be a weird season. Kind of a turning of a page, new era of Eagles football, 100%. I mean, look, I think you can expect a lot of ups and downs. I mean, there's going to be early in the season, I think we're going to benefit from the coaching staff. There is just not much film on them. Jonathan Gannon he is not revealing anything regarding his scheme. I mean, I think we have ideas of what he's going to bring over from Minnesota, which we can get in depth on at some point. But obviously, with Gannon, I think that, you know, you don't know a lot of what you're going to see from him and, kind of the different things he's going to mix in and how he's going to use certain players too. Cause it's just been 4-man rush, everyone else dropped back in his zone coverage for the most part in preseason, been very vanilla. But, that's probably for the benefit of us. And then Sirianni, I think we have more of an idea of what he's going to bring over. And I have a lot of things that I'm excited about him, especially, stuff like 2 running back sets. I think it's going to be a big part of our offense. But I think that given that and that, teams are not going to have a lot of film, they're not going to know our tendencies for at least a good portion of the season. You look at Chip Kelly's first season when he brought over that college style offense, and the Eagles benefited a lot from teams not knowing what we were going to do then. You look at even Doug Peterson, the first couple games of his starter as a head coach as the Philadelphia Eagles head coach. I mean, obviously we started 3-0, absolutely whooped up on the Steelers because they had no idea what was coming. So you look at that, take that in context, and I think you're going to see Sirianni have some very bright spots early in the season. But it comes down to how these coaches. It's a young coaching staff. They only kept Moorhead and Stoutland from the past coaching staff. Both 2 guys who I am so thankful we kept both of them, by the way. But very young coaching staff overall. I think you're going to have a point where they're going to kind of hit that rookie wall for themselves as a coaching staff, as we like to say, and how they adjust back to that. I think is going to be important because look, outside of the Chiefs and Bucks games, which you still never know what could happen, it's the NFL. I think every game on the schedule is winnable. Now, obviously, injuries are going to, kind of put a wrench in that, and there's going to be stuff that changes with COVID over the season. There's a lot of stuff that's going to change, and we're going to find out a lot about who every team is. But I think you look at the schedule right now, there's a lot of winnable games on here, and a big thing I want to see is how we close out games because even last year in a year that was really difficult to watch, we were in a lot of those games at the end of the year, especially, you look at the Arizona game, you look at, I mean, even the LA game, the LA game, I would argue we mounted a comeback and then Carson throws an interception in the middle of the field. And then there goes all our momentum. So there were games that we were in almost every game last year. There weren't too many blowouts. Obviously, we came back late in those games, which is kind of a Cowboys-esque move to go down for most of the game and then start coming back bit by bit. But I think considering that and considering the 2016 to 2017 transformation where a young team started to learn how to close out games, I want to see if they can do that, how they do with that throughout the year. So I expect the Eagles to be in the race for the division, considering that this division is pretty much complete garbage. I mean, it's a bad division. Look, there hasn't been a repeat winner in how many years? And the last one was us back in 03, 04, something like that. The Cowboys are always a disappointment. The Giants look great on paper, but you can always rely on them to find a way to let you down as well. You could argue the same for us, but at the end of the day, it's anyone's game. We're going to find out who this team is and who the rest of the teams are. And I expect the Eagles to be in the divisional race this year and win some games. I mean, I think it's going to be better than last year, and I think we have a lot of young talent and young potential right now.
I agree because I think we definitely have a good mixture on both sides of the ball of
Yes.
veteran and youth, so that's a good thing. And I'm excited about this new coaching staff, especially this defense, because I think our defense is going to be better than a lot of people think.
I agree.
Not a lot of people are giving us, a lot of respect. There a lot of projections are having us near the bottom of our division and having another losing season. Yeah. So, I think we're as Eagles fans, I think we're getting used to that. We're getting used to the disrespect. We definitely have a thick skin, but in the because it all boils down to the media. They all know what they're doing. They know where to get the rise at. They don't go after Detroit Lions fans or players or their team, or they don't go after Houston Texans people. I mean, Deshaun Watson, yeah, obviously that's
Right.
maybe a bad example, but
Different
and
conversation.
no offense, Coach Dante, if you're still in the chat, 100%. I know first and foremost he's a Texans fan, but the Eagles are his second team, so definitely shout out to him for that. But yeah, I mean, the media knows what they're doing. But they give us, and in the same right, they give us things to talk about. So that's that's not necessarily always a bad thing. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
for me, the expectations going into this year, I try not to make them too high. Obviously, just really, really excited about, obviously, Jalen Hurts, this offense, the Devontae Smith, seeing the two of them really start to gel and grow and things like that. So yeah, it's exciting time to be an Eagles fan right now. It really is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited. I think we have a lot of young talent here, like you said. Especially, I really have been encouraged by what we've seen and heard from Jalen Hurts this preseason and training camp.
Yeah, and with guys like Jordan Mailata continue to grow and develop, guys like Josh Sweat, he's emerging. It's just it's fun. We have some really good pieces, I think, and on paper, this draft looked really good. So we're we're gonna see how that pans out, and we're gonna definitely talk about that a little bit more too. But Jalen Hurts, what are your thoughts and on the offense and everything like that for this year and going forward?
Yeah, like I said, I've been encouraged by what I've seen and heard from Jalen Hurts this August and July, back end of July. But I think last year, obviously when we drafted him, I was not happy because even whether you like Carson or not, they invested $100+ million in him. And when you do that, usually isn't the wisest decision to bring in a second round quarterback when that's also a large investment. You just made two big investments in the quarterback position. So, common sense would say one of them they both can't be there together for a long period of time. And obviously that we saw how that panned out. But now it's Jalen Hurts, it's his show. And now that he's the guy in town, last year, I liked what I saw from him in his 4 games. I think there were ups and downs for sure. You saw there were definitely times where his decision making was lacking a little bit. There were also times where he looked like he was very decisive and very effective on the football field. But I think the biggest things I saw improvement with him, at least in the first preseason game, I think was his release and throwing motion. I think looks a lot better than it did earlier, and in his career. I think there were times where he was definitely took him a split second longer to get the ball out. So I think that was improved. Looks like he's throwing more overhead right now, which is an interesting caveat. But I'm not a quarterbacks coach, so whatever works. And it looks like he's been more accurate and more on time with his new delivery. So I like that. I think that a big thing both at Alabama and Oklahoma was just the 1 to 2 reads. And obviously, as a quarterback, you have to be able to get through 1 to 4 progressions in the NFL. That's a big thing, while also reading complex defenses. And the Steelers, unlike Jonathan Gannon, were not vanilla with what they showed us in game 1. And I thought Jalen Hurts was reading and reacting very well to what they threw at him in that game. So I think his reads and his mechanics have definitely improved. I like to see that from Jalen Hurts, and I'm looking forward to seeing more. I mean, obviously, there's little things that Sirianni and the staff are going to work on, but I think Brian Johnson's going to be a guy to push him, and Jalen Hurts is a guy who he has that work ethic. I mean, that's the thing. If you can coach him up to a point where he's a guy where you can win with him, I don't even think he needs to be the reason you win. I think that you just need to have him be a guy who you can win with. I think that everything else will take care of itself because Jalen Hurts is the guy who he's going to work hard. He's going to go out there and work harder than anyone else in the football field. He's going to have that mentality that I'm going to go out there and win. I mean, he just has that swagger to him too, that the rest of the locker room just gravitates to him. And you can already see it. Like people can say what they want about them not naming him the starter. He's the starter. The rest of the guys have said it. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Joe Flacco has not looked good in the preseason. Everyone in the locker room loves him. It's obvious Jalen Hurts is the guy here. So I'm excited for Jalen Hurts. I think my expectations are for him to have a very solid year on the ground, but I also expect his passing game to take a step up. And then as far as the weapons he has around him, I mean, I think Devontae is going to have a very solid year one at the least. I mean, this is a guy. I mean, his route running is so NFL ready. It's so NFL ready. I think Rager even I thought Rager had a lot of unwarranted criticism last year. I mean, a lot of his routes on film were wasted because Carson wasn't getting him the ball a lot of the time. He was hesitating a lot. He didn't want to get the ball down the field. And when he did want to get the ball down the field, Rager had two guys deep on him and he had safety help and he should have taken the underneath route. So I think that was a big thing with Rager that maybe didn't make him look as good. There were still issues. I mean, he still didn't do too well against press coverage, but I think you're going to see him. He's going to play the slot a little bit more this year. He's going to play the Z a little bit more this year. He's going to be off the line of scrimmage. So I think that's going to help him with his release. And I still think he can go and play the X and go face press coverage a little bit when you need him to. Like, I think he can play all three spots just like Devontae. And I think going off of that, Quez looks like he's going to be a starter this year. I mean, he's really taken a step up. And that means you have Fulgham, Ward, Hightower, guys who were asked to start games last year who are now going to be your backups. And even J-Jaw, too, who's been, we'll get into him a little bit. But you have all these guys who have been asked to be starters when maybe they weren't quite ready to. Fulgham, that's also a complex situation. But they're going to be your backups, and they're still going to be situationally used, I think. So I think that's very encouraging to see that with Jalen Hurts and just the rapport he has with all these guys. And, the tight ends, I mean, we're going to be able to run 12 personnel as long as Zach Ertz is here, which I think is very beneficial, even though Sirianni kind of wants to run more 11. But I'm excited. I think also the running backs are going to be huge in the passing game. You've seen some 2 running back sets this preseason. You're going to see Kenny Gainwell go out there and ball out a little bit. You're going to see Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders, I don't know how much he's going to be used in the passing game. Sounds like he's been still struggling with the drops, which can't happen, but you still have other running backs who can be used in the passing game. So I'm very excited about this offense this year and just to see how the scheme plays out. And look, there's going to be times, my closing thought on that is there's going to be times where Sirianni maybe doesn't make the best decisions, whether it's going for it on 4th down and stuff like that. But there's also going to be times where these young guys just do not execute. And there's going to be times where they're going to have to learn from that, but they're going to build off of that for years to come. And I think after this year, this year's the building block. You're going to have so much success down the road because of that. So I'm really excited to see where this offense goes down the road. So I'm looking forward to it. That was a little long-winded, but I'm super excited about it. How about you?
Hey, I definitely like your energy and I like the response because we have so much youth and like you said, I think Rieger's going to do a lot better on the inside.
Yes,
and it looks like to me Quez is ready to step up as our pretty much our number 2 wide receiver. And like you said, that means guys like Travis Fulgham are going to be coming off the bench. And to me, that's not necessarily a bad thing because if Jalen Hurts and those 3 that we just named, the 3 wide receivers, that they could be that could be a very talented group that we could get a lot of value out of for a long time because of the fact that we can take advantage of their rookie contracts. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We could build a very, very good team pretty quickly around that group, around that young group. I've been calling them the young gunners because, and Jalen Hurts is, Jalen Hurts is a part of that because they're all 1st and 2nd year guys. And I'm absolutely blown out of this world excited to see Quez get the ball in his hand more and more because this guy's electric.
Absolutely.
He's dynamite. He really, really is. And I was telling some guys, after he had that huge play in the first preseason game, and some of the guys agreed with me. I don't even think he hit full speed on that sideline. I really don't. Not. I don't even think he hit full throttle.
No, he cruised by. I think it was Trey Norwood who. I actually interviewed Trey Norwood before the draft. He's a good guy, but he's definitely cool. he's more of a technical corner. He only runs like a 4.58. So I would be shocked if Quez was going full speed down that sideline because he can probably he probably would. Trey Norwood probably wouldn't even come close to tackling him if if not if he was going full speed.
Right. Yeah, and to let's see, Jock Talk said they just cut more players. Yeah, I think he's talking about today. They did, yes, they cut wide receiver Hakeem Butler, center Harry Kreider, wide receiver undrafted rookie free agent wide receiver Jamon Osborne, and then cornerback Lavert Hill. So we have to keep getting closer and closer to that 53. And tomorrow's the deadline, right, for the next cut to make it to 80.
So. Yeah, Tuesday. Yeah.
And then the following Tuesday is the final cut to make it to 53. So a lot of these guys are fighting for their lives right now in this last game.
And I believe yesterday they put Jason Kroom on injured reserve waivers list or something like that. And then they added Kerry Angeline, who obviously got cut a little bit ago, but he was a guy who I actually mocked to the Eagles in like the later rounds in one of my mock drafts, and big target, 6'6", 250. So I'm interested to see if he can grab a practice squad spot at the most. I don't think he's going to grab a roster spot, but guy to keep an eye on.
Yeah. So I think they're down to 81 now. So they just got to get till tomorrow. They got to get one more guy's going to get the axe tomorrow, and then they'll be on their way to 53. Yeah, it's definitely an exciting time, and I think it doesn't hurt. I don't think it hurts. From what I've seen, it looks like he's committed to this team and he's out there working hard. Zach Gertz, I don't think it's a bad thing at all for him to be on this football team. It only gives Jalen Hurts, another safety blanket as a tight end, and
absolutely,
you know what I mean. That just benefits, and I really do think that. As much as we've heard from Coach Sirianni saying that, and I know it's kind of an old cliche, but it's true. Games are won and lost in the trenches, and I think he's a firm believer. I really do think he believes that, and I think he's going to be a very smart man and rely heavily on the veteran coaching of Coach Stoutland. We're going to be a run-first team. We're going to be opening up holes in that offensive line. And these running backs are going to be able to crawl through these holes that we're opening. I'm just amazed at the amount of growth that a guy like Jordan Mailata has had under Coach Stoutland's.
Yes.
Under his coaching, it's just amazing. It really is, and it speaks volumes about Coach, because I have really, really high respect for him, and I think a lot of people do. He's one of the, if not the best offensive line coach in the NFL. Without I don't think a lot of people would argue that.
Not at all.
Miles Sanders needs to he needs to step up this year, don't you think?
Definitely. And well, real quick, just to tackle a couple of your points there too.
Yeah.
Zach Ertz, I mean, it definitely doesn't hurt, especially you saw in that first preseason game. I mean, it looked like Hurts was working the middle of the field a good amount of the time. Not exclusively, but he definitely likes to go over that middle of the field. And obviously, your tight ends are going to work there a good amount of time. So I think it's good to have him. It seems like him and Ertz have had a good connection this leading up to the season this year. So I like that a lot. And your last point too, I mean, Coach Stoutland, his group was, I believe, around middle of the pack on one of the worst years of injuries and, bringing in Jamon Brown and all that stuff that happened. His group was still middle of the pack. It was still middle of the pack in that year. So considering that, I mean, Stoutland's groups have ranked consistently top 5, top 10 each year. So I just wanted to further your point. But going off of Miles, I mean, I'm a big Miles fan. I love the guy. I mean, he's a home run hitter for sure. Look, I mean, he's definitely got to be better. His pass protection, I think, in his rookie year was a really strong aspect of his game that I was impressed with. Last year, I think he had some issues there. I think everyone had issues in pass protection, that might have compounded the situation, but I still think Miles has got to get better. Biggest thing I think for him is his strength his rookie year was his receiving game, which is weird because in college, he didn't do a ton of that. He wasn't used that way. And then we see him come in here and his receiving game was really good. And I think we're all thinking, great. I mean, that's the part of his game. One of the parts of the game we were a little worried about. Now we got that hand. We just got to work a little bit with him on vision and running between the tackles and all that. And he's gotten a lot better at that, I would say. But now he's struggling with drops. I mean, it doesn't matter how crisp of a route you can run if you're not going to catch the ball. I mean, that's the bottom line. So he's got to be better because you saw last year with Corey Clement and Boston Scott, if they were in the backfield on third down and the defense was going to look to send pressure because you're not going to keep Boston Scott or Corey Clement in there to pass protect most of the time. Now, to say with Boston Scott, I'd say look better in pass protection this preseason. But point being, last year, those two guys, especially Corey Clement, you were not going to keep them in their pass protection. If you did, we're going to send guys right at them and just blow them right up. So when you look at that, it kind of tips your hand, and you don't want Miles to become a guy where if he's in there, you want him to be a guy who can play all three downs. Now, I think you're still going to run a committee, but you want him to have the ability to be out there and not to tip your hand at what you're doing. And I don't think you always are, because you can always run play action with him, especially if you establish the run early. But I think that's a big thing with running backs is being able to do all three phases of it: running, receiving, pass protecting. And I think that, Taran Jackson, it's unfortunate he got hurt, because I think when he was with Detroit, he did all those three very well, especially the pass protecting part. But yeah, I agree. I think Miles has got to step up, especially, look, we've got to pay Dallas Goedert soon, especially if he takes another leap this year. He's a guy who you're going to have coming up on a contract extension. You're going to have to pay one of Barnett or Sweat or both. There's other guys who got to get paid, and Miles is coming up on his contract soon too. So if he wants to get that payday from the Eagles, he's going to have to prove it, especially running back is not a position that people are looking to pay a lot these days. So he has to do a little bit more if he wants to get that contract. What are your thoughts on Miles coming into the season?
Yeah, I'm not worried about him. I'm not worried about him running at all.
I agree.
So my concern with him is definitely catching the ball out of the backfield. He's having some continual issues with that, and we've seen him do it before. It's not a physical issue. It's a mental issue. It's a mental thing at this point.
I agree.
And those can sometimes be harder to get over than physical things, because physical things you can kind of coach. Mental things are more of a personal thing, and he's got to kind of find a way to get over that, to kind of block that out. No pun intended. But
yeah,
you know what I mean? He's got to be more consistent in that aspect, and not let the let the negative vibes get to him. He's got to stay positive when it comes to things like that, and just keep working on his craft. And we don't, with guys like Kenny Gainwell, with guys like, before we lost him, Kayvon Wallace could catch Kerryon Johnson can catch the ball out of the backfield as well. So, but we need him to step up this year, and to really show everybody that he can not only consistently produce on the field, but just be able to stay healthy and be able to be out there. You know what I mean? For the majority of the year, if not all of it.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a good point too. Because last year, even when he was on the field, there were times where like, is he even 100%? Is he going to play this week? And there was a couple of games that he missed that were key games. I mean, there's just games that we could have used him. Even in that wild card game in Seattle, I don't know if he was 100%. He got injured that Week 17 game where we clinched against New York. Thankfully, we clinched, but definitely could have used him in that game. So I think that's a great point you bring up, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So some people are really excited to see the offense. Some people are, more excited to see the defense. Which side of the ball do you think is going to be more dominant this year for us, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is a tough question, because I love so many different aspects of both.
Right.
I think our offense is going to be really good. Like I really do have a lot of belief in Sirianni, because look, I think a lot of people say, oh, well, he wasn't a play caller before he came to Philly. Neither was Andy Reid. I mean, all these guys have to start somewhere, and he was under Frank Reich. Frank Reich has an excellent system that utilizes everyone very well. He looks to utilize players to their strengths, and it adapts to the personnel he has. Still boggles my mind that the Eagles were reportedly looking to can him after his first year here. But, I think that you look at his background, going back to San Diego. I mean, Keenan Allen, Travis Benjamin, Dontrell Inman, Tyrell Williams, like all these guys had career years under Nick Sirianni. I mean, Dontrell Inman's not really even much of a name anymore. He's just a guy on the football team, at least last year he was. But I mean, Keenan Allen's really the only name you need to hear out of that group, because, obviously he's a star, and looking at that, he's had his his best seasons under Sirianni, that says a lot as a wide receiver coach. And you see Sirianni really, obviously he's the head coach, but he's really taking time with these wide receivers it's a very young group and they need a lot of detailed coaching. So I think that, looking at that and you look at, his experience with quarterbacks too, when he was in Kansas City, he was just starting out as an NFL coach. Matt Castle also had one of his 2 best seasons in the NFL and arguably his best season in the NFL. And he also coached Philip Rivers, obviously. This is a guy who knows the quarterback position. He dealt with 3 different quarterbacks alongside Reich in his 3 years in Indianapolis. So I'm really curious to see what Sirianni does. Then you bring in, we talked about Statland, having him back, hopefully having a healthier O-line, I think will help this year. I think the O-line is going to be back to the dominant force it was. You still have your 2 tight ends there. That's a constant again. You still have Moorhead, who I was.
Taran Jackson was looking good before he got hurt too. So
yes,
he's stashed away on IR right now. So that's not a bad thing.
That was unfortunate too. I'm disappointed about that, but
I was too.
Yeah, and then also I think Singletary, is it Jamal Singletary, who's the running backs coach from Kentucky? I might be forgetting his correct name, but
Jamal Singleton. You're close.
Singleton.
Yes.
I was close.
Yeah.
But
very close.
I'm really excited about him. Looking at the list of running backs, I can't name them off the top of my head, but there was an article I read where it like went through the running backs he worked with. And when I first saw him, I was like, oh, college coach, like, just another young hire. But then I looked at his resume. I'm like, oh, this guy has worked with some, top tier talent at the running back position in the past. So I'm excited about that. I love hearing his mic'd up as well. And I think there's a lot to be excited about on the offense. Whereas the defense, I don't think there's not a lot to be excited about, but I think there's a lot more question marks, I guess you could say. There's a lot of promise there, but I think my question marks more so come with the linebacker position. I love the youth we have there. I'm just very worried about, are they going to wrap up if running backs get to the second level? Are they going to be, consistent from game to game? Because I have no doubt that Singleton has made improvements thus far, but I do have my concerns about them and my concerns about the health of the defense too. I think that's something that I'm concerned about with the secondary. Ryan McLeod coming back from injury, Darius Slay, can he stay on the field? Because he was banged up at the end of last year. Steven Nelson's coming off of his worst season. I'm excited about Steven Nelson because it allows our young guys to learn this year. Steven Nelson, I think he's going to be better than he was last year. And I think it's just nice that we're not throwing these guys into the fire. Because I think, Zach McPherson, I like him a lot, but I think it would benefit him to have some time on the bench. Michael Jaquette, it would obviously benefit him to have time on the bench as well. So I have a little more concerns in the slot. Is Maddox going to be sufficient? Is Josiah Scott going to have to step in there? I believe Maddox is best suited in the slot or at the safety position, but we need more reps to see whether Maddox can return to that form. But yeah, I'm excited about the offense side I'm excited about both, but definitely the offense side of the ball I think is going to be our strength this year. So
okay, yeah, I like it, and I like your reasoning for it. I definitely do. I tend to think that I tend to think our defense is going to be the dominant side of the ball. I like the coaching tree that JG comes from. He's got, I think, with the additions of, like we're going to talk about, like you talked about, Steven Nelson. That was a great addition, and I think a lot of us were very happy to see that. Once McLeod comes back, because as you touched on Kayvon Wallace as well. He's still kind of a question mark. He's done a lot of talking. Now it's time for him to let his his play on the field talk more than his mouth. He's got that age old adage that you got one mouth and two ears for a reason. If you're talking, you're not learning, you're not listening. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
exactly.
absolutely, he's got to do more learning, more listening, and definitely get more experience under his belt and take some of these opportunities. He's got to take advantage of these opportunities while they're in front of him, because for guys like him, they may not come again. You never know. I would hope that that's not true, but you just never really know with guys like guys that not top rated coming out of college. They're mid range guys. They can pan out, or they can't, or they may not. And sometimes that that's determined pretty quickly. So, like I said, I just hope he takes advantage of it. What are your go? I want to hear a little more deep in detail about what you think about Kayvon Wallace.
Yeah, look, I think Kayvon Wallace is I really do like him. I mean,
Yeah,
I think that, like you said, he's got to back up the mouth a little bit. He's got a lot of he does likes to do a lot of talking, but I think that I mean, looking at what he did at Clemson, I think he was definitely a Swiss Army knife type of guy. I mean, he played in the box, he played in the slot when you needed him to, came down to the line and blitzed and played from the line of scrimmage. I mean, he went back deep and played safety. He did kind of everything, kind of a Malcolm Jenkins type of role, obviously at Clemson in college, which is a little bit different than doing it in the NFL.
right.
But I think considering that, I think that Kayvon Wallace has a lot of potential. I mean, I know a lot of people said last year. I think that he was mostly used back deep in single high roll, and at least in two safety sets, but more so in the single high roll. I didn't love him in that role. I thought that, I didn't think Jim Schwartz got the best out of him and used him to his full potential. So I think that Kayvon, especially Malcolm Jenkins, wasn't here. So, we
Yeah,
need someone to fill the void. And I'm not saying Kayvon Wallace is going to come in here and play to that level, but at least, do a lot of the things that Malcolm did would have been nice. I don't know why he wasn't really inserted into that role, but I think that looking at Gannon, and, that he's probably going to bring over some stuff from Minnesota's scheme. At least
right.
they've kind of shown that from the signings they've made with Wilson and Harris, and the way that obviously Gannon was with them in Minnesota. There's one
Even
aspect
even
specifically.
the even the Kerrigan signing is kind of a sign of some
Yes,
Zimmerman stuff because Zim likes to switch between 3-4 and 4-3,
yes,
and Kerrigan he can play outside linebacker if you switch to a 3-4, or he could play the 4-3 and play his normal defensive ends position. So yeah, I mean even Kerrigan was a sign of things to come. I mean I definitely agree with you.
yeah. And going off of that too, I mean, just the fact that Gennard Avery is switching back to linebacker now is another sign of that too. You're going to
Right.
have him play that Sam role in the
Yeah.
4-3 under, which is going to have that stand-up rusher.
Yeah.
And you've seen Joe Osman, even when they've been in a 4-3, they've been running Joe Osman out of a 2-point stance as well, where he's been standing up as a rusher.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about Gennard Avery, in his rookie season, he was so productive and had so many. I think all of his sacks, I want to say he had around 7.5, 5.5, around that. All of them came when he was in a stand-up position, I believe, maybe all but one.
Yeah.
And then the Eagles trade for him, and Jim Schwartz couldn't really find a fit for him with the team. So I completely agree with you there. And the Pat Johnson pick in the 7th round, even that, I mean, he was a guy who was a stand-up rusher. That's my guy. Love Pat Johnson, but he told me he thinks he's the most versatile player in the draft, and I think that just shows they're going to do a lot of some Zimmer scheme. But going off of that, my point being with Kayvon Wallace, in Minnesota, they ran a lot of double A gap blitz, which means basically you have 4-3, but then you bring your two linebackers down to the box, or not even down to the box, the line of scrimmage, and they're lined up on each side of the center. And a lot of times when Zimmer did that, he would also bring Harrison Smith down to the line and blitz him off the edge, or you didn't know who was going to come and pressure you. You just don't know, because it's going to be different each time. And I think you can use Kayvon Wallace similarly when you show that look and blitz him off the edge, or put him back out into coverage, or just use him in different ways. So I think Kayvon Wallace, I really do like the kid, and I think he should be used to his full potential this year. I don't know if he's going to be a starting safety down the road. Maybe he can be, but I think he'll always have a role as a third safety type guy, kind of like Corey Graham did with us. Obviously Corey Graham was on the back end of his career. I'm not saying Kevin Wallace doesn't have more potential than him, but
Yeah.
kind of that similar role where they go three safeties, or and also Kayvon brings special teams ability, so he's going to be able to help you in that aspect as well. So I'm really excited about Kayvon Wallace, and I think that he's got a lot of potential. We just have to see more of him and kind of see where he fits in. I think with his mentality, I could be way off, and he could be way better than I'm giving him credit for. But I'm excited to see him.
Yeah, no, I am too. Definitely. He's young. He's got.
Mm-hmm.
You said his potential is pretty high in
Yep.
my opinion too. So I definitely agree with you. So who would you be your picks if you had to pick some standout players on both sides of the ball this year?
Yeah, I love this question. I love standout players. So my offensive one, I mean, I've been saying this ever since we drafted him. It's got to be Kenny Gainwell. I mean, I cannot believe this guy. Ross Tucker's been saying it on the broadcast too. Like, I'm totally with him on this. I do not know how he fell to the 5th round. I am just still in awe that happened. Because in my opinion, I mean, I know it was probably because of the opt out that he missed a year, but
Right.
I think he was totally a 3rd round talent. That's my opinion on it. Look, this guy, I mean, he's a very crisp route runner. You saw him in that 3rd quarter when Nick Mullins was in. They started feeding him a little bit, just the cutbacks, the vision, the one cut ability, I think is big. And you get him to the 2nd level. He's also a guy, he's like, his size is a little deceptive because he's not the smallest guy, but he's also not the biggest guy. He's not afraid to go lower his shoulder. I mean, he put up 22 bench reps at the combine, or bench press reps at the combine. I mean, he's a strong guy. He is able to fight through contact, and his contact balance is pretty amazing. So I think he's going to be a guy who, while he might not be the most utilized guy, I think when he is utilized, he's going to take advantage, and he's going to be used on screens, maybe some jet touch passes, maybe just some regular runs inside zone, stuff like that. I think Kenny Gainwell is going to be a big integral part of this offense. And then on the defense side of the ball, that's tough. I mean, I really do like a lot of the guys we have. Singleton's probably the cop-out answer because he's just been really looking strong this preseason. I would say this is tough because I just don't know who's going to make the team at this point because I think there's a lot of good competition. I think my standout player, I'm probably going to go with maybe a guy who's going to be more of a role player, so maybe not necessarily by definition a breakout player, but I want to spend a little bit of time talking about Taran Jackson because I have been impressed with what I've seen from him this preseason. I think he's not perfect. He's still got to learn some things. There's still times where, he doesn't get home to the quarterback or get pressure, but I'm really impressed with how often he is used and just to get off of the line he's able to have. He seems really explosive off the line. He's really good at beating guys inside. Yes, for sure. Really good at beating guys inside, whether it's swim moves or spin. He showed off a spin move in the preseason a little bit.
Yes.
I think he's going to make the team. I don't know if he's going to play a ton, but I think he's going to be the 5th guy. And I wouldn't be surprised if he rotates in there a little bit and maybe has kind of a Josh Sweat-esque rookie season where maybe he doesn't play a ton, but he gets more playing time towards the back end of the year. And then maybe year 2, he ends up playing a little bit more. So if I had to go for one for this year more so, I'd probably go Singleton because I think you're going to see him improve in the pass game. I think a big thing with him that I saw in the pass game last year was every time there's play action, him and the other linebackers would just get drawn in by it. And obviously with play action, a big way you can tell is just by looking at the 3 interior linemen. I mean, if they're not going up the 2nd level to run block, they obviously can't go 3 yards downfield. So you got to read that and drop back into coverage and seek depth. So I think Singleton has looked better in that aspect to me thus far. So I'm really excited about him as well. What are your 2 guys? Or I use 3 technically. So if you have any extras, what are your guys?
No worries. Yeah. So on the defensive side of the ball, my standout player I think is going to be the guy who leads our team in sacks, and I think that's going to be Josh Sweat. And I think he's going to have over 12 sacks this year.
I agree.
As long as he can stay healthy, knock on wood, he's going to be very, very dominant. And I love what I've been seeing out of him in camp and even in the preseason, the little bit that he's played. But yeah, I mean, Josh Sweat looks very, very good on that side of the ball. And if I was, on the offensive side of the ball, I'm really excited to see just the continuance of Quez Watkins. I really do, and I think he's going to be. I really do think he's going to be a standout player this year. Even as Jalen Hurts said, he's no mystery anymore. But I don't think that really matters because in the NFL, athleticism and speed like he has kills. So just get Quez the ball. That's my new favorite 4-letter word is Quez. So that he's definitely my pick for the standout player on the offensive side of the ball. And if I was going to throw a wild card in there, I think it would be somebody like a Josiah Scott on defense.
I like him a lot.
I've been liking what I'm seeing out of him in the nickel, and I think he's got a very good chance of getting a lot of, if not getting the starting spot over Maddox, he's definitely going to get a lot of playing time there because he has NFL experience and he's had quite a bit of success already, in camp and things like that. He's been looking good. So keep your eye out for Josiah Scott. Definitely, he's a nickel corner, and those are the guys. That's my picks. Yeah. So as far as we talked about the draft a little bit earlier, and I think a lot of people agree it's definitely the best on paper so far for Howie. But did it save his job in your opinion?
That's a great question. I think the point I always bring up when I think about this is that last year he had a great offseason too. And we saw how a lot of that played out during the regular season. Big things are, I think during the offseason, I love that he brought in guys who were known to stay healthy. And obviously, 2019, we didn't stay healthy, but he brought in Will Parks, who had not missed many games in his career. He brought in who's the other Roby Coleman. I tried to block him out of my mind. That's why I almost forgot him there. But he brought in Roby Coleman, who also stayed healthy. Doesn't help if you're healthy if you're not really helping the team at that point. But he brought in Sly, who has not missed many career games. Obviously he still played most of the games in last year. But I think I like that and about that offseason. I like the draft he had last year too, for the most part. Well, outside of, I think the big thing was outside of the first couple picks, because I didn't think Rager was a first round guy. Still love Rager. I think he's a great player, but I didn't think he was a first round guy. Didn't think he should have picked Jalen Hurts in the second round. Obviously, I already talked about that, but that being said, I'm still super excited. I think Jalen Hurts could also save his job. But I think the big point being with that is that I liked his later round picks more than his, days 1 and 2 picks last year. And I was a Davion fan too before the draft, but I thought he was a day 3 pick. And I'm not saying these guys can't get to a point where they prove that they are worthy of where they're picked or better. I just think that pre-draft, looking at these guys, I thought that Howie took them a little early. But I do think that this draft could save Howie's job, and last year's as well, because Quez is a guy who is developing into a starter. Jordan Mailata, a 7th round pick who Howie had, another guy who's developing into a starter now. And a dominant starter at that. Both of these guys could be dominant starters. Landon Dickerson is going to be a guy who will probably start on the interior, in my opinion, if healthy, for years to come. And fun fact, he started 26 straight games while he was at Alabama. This guy, while he has had his injury issues that are concerning, he has had stretches where he's played a lot of games in a row. And then, looking at Milton Williams, I wasn't the biggest fan of that pick just because I don't love drafting guys who are just good testers at the combine and who are, I don't love passing on corners. I thought Benjamin St-Juste and Ifeatu Melifonwu were there. I love both those guys. Can't cheer for St-Juste anymore because he's on the football team. But, I thought both those guys were really good. But look, Milton Williams, something I learned about him after that draft was that he played at a lower weight class on the interior last year because he thought he was going to be playing on the edge. And then they had opt-outs, injuries. They needed to move him to the interior. And I think considering that, I think Milton has looked really good this preseason, and I've heard good things. I'm excited about him. And then going on to who are our 4th and 5th round, completely forgetting right now. I'm blanking on our draft right now. I know Pat Johnson was 7.
Yeah, Steven Nelson was the 5th. Our 4th was...
You mean McPherson? McPherson was our 4th. And then Kenny Gainwell was the 5th.
Yeah. And then
Taran Jackson.
Steven Nelson was in there too, right?
Steven Nelson was free agency.
Not Steven Nelson, Jacoby Stevens. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. He was also 6th round pick.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, McPherson, we'll see. I think while he has struggled in preseason games, I think he's made good strides during training camp, and wouldn't hurt to throw him into the fire at some point, but not to the extent that Jaquette got thrown into the fire last year, where this guy is literally getting torched for 200 yards. Get him off the field before his confidence completely deteriorates, and he can't play any more games. But it wouldn't hurt to get him some reps this year if possible. Corner's a tough transition. It really is. You don't always get a Jair Alexander who is just a star in year 1, or a Marshawn Lattimore who is a star in year 1. It takes time for a lot of these guys. So we got to be patient. He's a 4th round guy. He could be a contributor. Look, Maddox was a guy who contributed year 1, but he's still learning a lot of the ins and outs. He's not an outside guy. He was forced to be out there. But, I think you look at that. And then Gainwell, I already talked about. I think that was a phenomenal pick. And Taran, I talked about too. Love that pick. I love the day 3 picks a lot. I really do. I think Stevens is going to be a guy who makes the team and is versatile and can move around a little bit in the defensive formation and be used situationally for sure. I think he's going to be one of those guys who, while he's a linebacker, I think you're going to see him on 3rd and long when we pin our ears back and, kind of just put a lot of DBs out there, he's going to be the Mike linebacker there. So I really did like the draft. I think it could definitely save his job, but I think the big thing in his job will be, how Jalen Hurts performs, because I think that's really the big thing. How you drafted a guy when we had a lot of money invested in the quarterback that you invested in him, mind you. I mean, is this guy, you missed out on Russell Wilson. What's Jalen Hurts going to be? And I think if Jalen Hurts has a really solid year and this new coaching staff does well, I think Howie will stick around. I think regardless, he's going to stick around because he has a good relationship with Jeffrey Lurie, and he's been here. He's been an Eagles front office guy for years and years and years, and they respect Howie up there. While we don't like him, I think that the front office definitely has a lot of respect for him. So some of the guys in the front office, obviously, we know how what's his name on draft night felt about the Milton Williams pick, but Tom Donahue. But
yeah, I mean, Milton Williams. I mean, as another kid that looks very, very strong. He is.
Yes.
He makes up for that lack of size, especially his length of arms and things like that. With his brute strength. He's just a very, very strong kid, and I think he's going to be good for us because he's one of those pieces that you can move around on the defensive line. He's a defensive tackle, but you can slide him outside. He's kind of like the opposite of Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham's a defensive end, but if you need to, you can slide him on the inside and have him play some defensive tackle at times too. I mean, hell, that's when he got the strip sack in the Super Bowl. It was when he was on the inside. So
exactly,
I love the versatility. Anytime we can get players with versatility, that only bodes better for the team as a whole. For the player themselves, they can get more reps at different positions, things like that. So, yeah, I'm excited about the versatility that we have on the defensive line. This draft, if it pans out, it's going to be very, very good for us for years to come. Definitely. I
agree.
And like you said, McPherson's he's had some struggles in the preseason a little bit, but he's looked good in camp and in the practices so far. So, he just needs to keep building on that and not worry about the preseason, because it's like I said in my recent little video, it doesn't matter about wins and losses in the preseason. It really doesn't. It's about evaluating talent. It's about finding out what you have in the depths of your team, because you may need some of that, because in the NFL there are so many injuries on a weekly basis. It's just continuing to, you have to be ready for next man up mentality.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So Jacoby Stevens, he's already getting high praise from guys like, the Honey Badger, because when you wear that number at LSU, that comes with high regard. I know you've heard 100%. About that. Yeah.
I'm actually, since Philly doesn't, I mean, Temple's my team because that's really the only Philly team, but my bandwagon team has always been LSU, and I acknowledge I'm a bandwagon, but I've stuck with them since I'm a kid. So I love college football in general, but I've always been an LSU guy, even dating back to when OBJ was there with Jarvis Landry and all them, and Tyrann Mathieu, Patrick Peterson. I'm forgetting some of the other guys because I'm again, like I said, I'm a bandwagon guy, but obviously, like you said, Stevens too, that is such. And Fournette is another guy. That number means so much, and Derek Stingley now as well. It means so much to, especially the defensive back position. That's a massive deal to wear it at LSU. So the fact that he got to wear that number is, especially with some of the guys they have on that team right now, that's a very huge honor for Jacoby Stevens.
Yeah, and he got it because not only was he good on the field, but he was a great teammate in the locker room, a great a student, citizen, civilian, everything like that. So yeah, he's just he's been getting high praise in lots of different aspects of of his venues for sure, because and I think, like you said, he's a kid that could see some playing time pretty early on because he's got some versatility. He was a safety in college, but now they have him playing linebacker, so he's going to be in some different packages and things like that. He's going to be another good chess piece for JG in the defense.
I completely agree.
Yeah. So in regards to, I wanted to ask you about Andre Dillard. There's been some recent quote unquote teams interested in, in his services. I don't know how much I believe that really, but what do you think? Do you think we should be in the market to be trading Andre Dillard, or do you think that would be kind of jumping the gun, being that he was a first round talent?
I think you should absolutely be in the market to trade him. Because look, Derek Barnett was the one who made him cry a couple years ago. Years later, he is still feasting on him. And that injury probably didn't help Dillard. Coming back from that has probably been tough. I think he makes a team regardless. I mean, but I would not be shocked if he's not on the team. I think it's going to be because he was traded. And I think when you look at Dillard, the big thing I have is like I don't see why you keep him around if he can only play left tackle. I mean, the guy obviously was awful at right tackle. I know a lot of people have talked about moving him to left guard. I'll leave that to Jeff Stoutland if they think that's a good idea. Maybe we do, but like, look, Sayamalu, I mean, I know he's had issues here and there, but the fact that he's the weakest link on the line says a lot. I mean, Sayamalu's not bad by any means. He's a very above average left guard, and Dickerson could be in the mix to play there at some point. I mean, I don't see the need for Andre Dillard right now. I really don't. And you're probably not going to put him at right guard because you're not going to switch him there. He's not a center. Look, if you can get decent value for him, you're probably not going to get you're obviously not going to get the value you drafted him for. That's just kind of out the window at this point. But I think you should definitely be looking to see what you can get. Maybe you get a player also in addition to a pick. I think that's what you should be looking for, just because Dillard, I think he could still be. I don't think he's a bad player. Let me just clarify. While I'm talking a lot of negatives on him, I think that he's still a guy. While I think he's having his issues in preseason, we've seen him play before. I think he is at least an average left tackle, right? I don't know if he's ever going to be an all-pro. I think he has that potential for sure, but look, I think he's an average left tackle, and I think we saw that when Jason Peters was out. He had his ups and downs, but he wasn't terrible. I mean, he also had some really good games. That Bills game, I thought he looked surprisingly impressive, given that we ran the ball a lot. And a big thing with him coming out of Washington State was that they were, I believe Mike Leach was the coach there when he played there. That's a very pass-heavy offense. I mean, you have Gardner Minshew and Luke Falk throwing the ball literally. They're leading college football in passing yards because they're throwing the ball literally 50, 60 times a game and putting up 5,000 passing yards each year consistently in not a lot of games again. So I was impressed with that with Dillard. I think that a rebuilding team or a team that's looking for some youth would totally look for Andre Dillard to be, to see if he's got anything at left tackle. But I don't think you're going to get a big return. But I also think that him sitting on the bench definitely decreases his value, because if they see he's not the starter, people have been hearing what's been coming out of the camp. I mean, people know he hasn't been playing well, but if he comes out there and is on the bench week one, then it's kind of a dead giveaway. This guy has not developed, and you just got beat out by a guy who, Jordan Mailata, who has, I would say he's definitely not a 7th round pick anymore. He's outworked that label.
Yeah.
But I definitely think Dillard has. It's definitely disappointing to see where he's at, but you also drafted another guy who beat him out, so that's not a terrible thing. I mean, you had one of the two work out, but Dillard was expected to be the heir to Jason Peters. So considering that, I don't know what value you're going to get from him, but if you get a good offer, I think you got to take it.
No, and I like your answer because I tend to agree with you, because, like you said, if when you're an offensive lineman and you can only play one position, basically, if you're a one-trick pony and your one trick isn't that good, then what's the point of keeping you around, really? To me, it doesn't make a lot of sense for the team, for even for the player going forward, because it's obviously not working here. Maybe somebody else can quote unquote fix you. Whatever. That's fine. That's let that be somebody else's experiment. Let that be somebody else's issue. At this point, if the rumors are true, which I don't, like I said, I don't know how much they really are, but if they are, if it's not just Howie and the guys trying to drum up any kind of trade interest for him, or, what I mean?
Right.
Then we should strike while if there is any heat on the iron, we should definitely strike it. Definitely. Yes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I agree with you.
100% agree with you, man.
Yeah. So I want to know your thoughts on, after the first couple of preseason games, your thoughts on the backup quarterback situation. I know, like, a lot of people put probably too much energy into the backup quarterback situation just for the mere fact of, in recent memory, obviously Nick Foles, he came in, won us a Super Bowl. So, what do you think?
Yeah, like you said, this is a market that loves their backup quarterbacks, loves them. I never seen anything like it. We talked about Jeff Garcia when we opened the stream up too. AJ
Right.
Feely. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of backup quarterbacks who have been so, even like the year that Mark Sanchez came in and destroyed Dallas on Thanksgiving in
Yeah.
2014. Like,
I mean, hell, even Michael Vick
everyone loves the backup quarterback.
even Michael Vick was a backup. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So again, the list goes on and on. We had a similar controversy when Kevin Kolb was drafted in the second round that one year. It's so eerie to me because years later it happens again. But I think this team, look, they did pay Joe Flacco. I'm not sure like what the deal is with what his cap hit is, or like what I'd have to ask Gate City because he knows contract details like nobody else does. But like what the deal would be if we cut him, like how much money we would lose. Look, I think he's more so in the building for up here, right? I think he's in the building for his knowledge of the game. While it might not be showing while he's playing on the field and he's getting older, in the film room, I think that's why he's there. That's why not to compare Joe Flacco to Chase Daniel, because Joe Flacco obviously had much more success early in his career, but Chase Daniel has stuck around so long as a perennial backup because of his knowledge of the game and being able to mentor young quarterbacks. And I think that's something that Joe Flacco can provide in the film room and just be a mentor to Jalen Hurts. So I think we're probably not going to be in the market, but I will say, I mean, he has looked really, really, he's been really disappointing in preseason, I would say. Look, I rewatched his snaps in the last game, and I know he got thrown out there early, but like, that's your opportunity. I mean, I know Jalen Hurts is going to be the starter, but what if he was hurt for like, what if he got hurt before in warmups or something, and it was like something serious, and then it develops? And I know we're talking hypotheticals here, but if you're Joe Flacco, you're thinking like, this is my chance with the ones. Like, let me go out there and show what I can do. And there's throws that are a little too far behind Devontae and other guys. There's poor decisions where he gave Rager a contested catch opportunity where he didn't win on his route and gets tipped up in the air, and then obviously that just goes to the tip drill and the Patriots win it. Colbert gets the interception. Like, just little things like that even Joe Flacco at this point in his career wouldn't expect. And I think a lot of people like to, last year, myself included, chalk up a lot of his lack of success to the Jets being the Jets, right? And I think that was part of it. And also, I mean, I think last week in preseason week 1, I was saying, well, it's the backup offensive line and they were just not playing too well. But then he gets a chance with the ones and does not take advantage of his opportunity and looks really, really weak. So it is disappointing. It's good. I think it's a 1-year deal. Maybe 2. I believe it's a 1-year deal though. So I think they're going to keep him around for this year at least. He's a mentor, but I think I was of the opinion a couple weeks ago, or at least after the week 1 game, that they should at least look to bring another body into camp, because Nick Mullins was brought in here, going on to the back, just the quarterback market in general. He was brought in here to make these 3rd and 4th string guys look like to give them an opportunity. I mean, he couldn't even give Adrian Killens a chance to give him a ball wide open down the seam, has him wide open there, and doesn't lead. Not only did he throw it late, he threw it short as well. Even if he'd thrown it late, he could have thrown it, he'd at least let him in stride. But, little things like that where it's like these guys are losing opportunities to prove they can make the team because the 3rd string quarterback cannot throw the ball or cannot make a read right now. And this is a guy who has played with the ones in regular season before, who you expect to at least elevate these 3rd and 4th string guys. And for himself, too, to make a case, look, I'm not a 3rd string quarterback. I'm going to go out there and destroy these 3rd string guys and just slice and dice. Like, it is really embarrassing to see how Nick Mullins has performed. So, like your question on the screen says, like, why did we cut Jamie Newman? Was he that bad in OTAs that he couldn't hang around with Nick Mullins right now? And I know Nick Mullins has looked pretty good in practice, but, you should look into bringing a Jamie Newman in not just to mention, like, you don't want, as bad as Flacco has been, you do not want anything to happen to him right before the season starts in that last preseason game. You need and Nick Mullins for most of the game. He'll probably start most of the game, but it would also be nice to have, maybe a Jamie Newman in there. I know Ryan Finley, who has started games for the Bengals, kind of like Nick Mullins, is also out there. RJ3 is probably going to be a little more of an expensive option. I think, I think it's probably why he's still out there, is because a lot of teams have their guys and they don't want to spend that much money on a third string. But, there are other guys out there right now. I'm looking at the list. I mean, Josh Rosen, to me, I don't really want to bring him in. I think he's kind of, you can admit he's a bust at this point, but thoughts from you?
An interesting backup that I was thinking of, because I think they need, and I'm pretty sure they're in the market for an offensive tackle, especially a left tackle, is the Las Vegas Raiders and Marcus Mariota. He's still a backup there. His skill set is very similar to Jalen Hurts. He's a guy that can throw, he can run. So
right.
If the offense had to transition to a guy like Mariota, I think it would be a lot smoother. Obviously, you don't have to mold the offense nearly as much to the player. I think you can kind of just plug and play. And I still don't understand why that. I haven't heard anything of why, injury wise or what the reasoning behind Jamie Newman being cut. The only thing I've heard, and it's all been rumors at this point, is that Joe Flacco didn't want the competition behind him. That's what I've heard. The reasoning behind Jamie Newman being cut. I don't know how truthful that is, but I definitely think that, especially with, from what we saw out of these guys in the preseason, we definitely should be bringing at least somebody in to see if we could just test the waters a little bit. But yeah, it's kind of scary after Jalen Hurts on this team right now at the quarterback situation. If you ask me, and like you said, it was Flacco's opportunity to kind of step up and not only show this team that that he can be a suitable number 2 backup quarterback for this team, but also he could be auditioning for anybody else who, if their number 1 quarterback goes down, they could be a phone call away from trading for Joe Flacco. So he should have that in his mind too. But yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a situation right now, but nothing too to be worried about. I don't think at this point.
Absolutely,
I think if Joe were to get more reps with the number 1s, things like that, I think he would be okay for a game or two if he needed to, to fill in for Hurts during the season. But long term, he's only a 1 year deal out to fill in as a backup quarterback, and take it for really what it is. Howie Roseman said Milton's going to dominate. Bourbon _951. Shout out to my guy, my West Coast Birds. Yes, sir. He said number 19 on the like. Hell yeah. Hey, you guys, thank you so much. Let's get it to 20 if it's not there already. Make sure you smash the like before you leave. If you can't stay long, I understand. But make sure before you come into the chat or before you leave, make sure you hit the thumbs up down below the video there. Definitely helps.
Yes.
Everything helps get the videos out there, get more eyes on it, things like that. So, yeah, definitely. Jock Talk said NASCAR package, Barnett sack and Super Bowl. Barnett's sack, fumble recovery. Yeah, definitely. Yes, sir. Off the Grams strip sack. Absolutely. Dynamite play. Always be remembered in Philadelphia Eagles football history, without a doubt. The General's in the house. What's going on? Yodat. Appreciate you, General. Big play Slay. Thank you, my guy. Appreciate you guys. Everybody, thank you so much for joining the live stream. If you haven't done so already, please make sure that you continue to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you're feeling the vibe to keep my dreams alive. I'm going to Philadelphia for the very, very first time this year. And any purchases of the new merch in the merch shop or the just straight donations to the channel, it's very much appreciated, and it's going to help fund the trip later on this year. So thank you guys so much. And also make sure that you guys go sub up my guy here, Hunter Doyle of Philly Insider Podcast. He's doing lots of good things. This young man is very well spoken, as you can see. So there's no wonder that you're already writing, my guy. You're already doing big things. Yeah, I wanted to ask
Appreciate
you too
it again,
about
man.
absolutely, of course, my guy. No doubt. It's my pleasure to have you on here. I'm glad we could do it. Definitely, I have some more questions to ask you. I know you said you can go
Yeah.
till almost to the end of the hour, so we'll definitely rock this out. But,
Yep.
I wanted to ask you, your thoughts on Travis Fulgham. What's the deal with him? And is JJ actually going to make this roster?
Yeah, great question. I mean, sure, Travis Fulgham, yeah, it's a little disappointing to see, not disappointing in that Quez is doing really well and like almost pretty much going to win the job, but
Right.
kind of disappointing in that Travis Fulgham isn't making more of a push for that job. I mean, we saw
Right.
that 5 game stretch last year, and you know, I know it was 5 games and that teams got more tape on him, and maybe he didn't run the biggest selection of routes per se, but I thought that he was everything that we wanted J-Jaw to be. Speaking of J-Jaw, which we'll get to in a minute, and kind of like what we thought. I thought Alshon kind of looked like Alshon did in his 2017 season, or even before that when Alshon was even more athletic. And I think it's tough to expect Travis to replicate that coming into that year, like replicate that caliber performance, but I definitely expected him to come into camp and make some more plays and at least it's been really quiet about Travis. And I don't think there's been really many negatives, but you would expect him to make more of a push for the job. So I think that Travis, I still think he can be a red zone target. I mean, we saw him used in the slot a little bit last year. They got creative with where they wanted to put him in the formation. And I think, you saw him used in the red zone a little bit as well. I think he's a guy you can use him over the middle of the field in the red zone. You can use him on the boundary and just get him one-on-one. I still think there's ways you can use him. And it is preseason. So I still think you're going to see Travis as a, an important part of the team come regular season. And I'm excited for that. There have been concerns about just him needing to be pushed and motivated a little bit more. That, again, I don't know the truth of that, but I've heard that from his past apparently. And that is a concern because Quez seems to be very self-motivated right now. And I heard from Jason Avant on Inside the Birds that he was talking about Quez came in year one and coming from Southern Miss where he was kind of just the guy. He kind of faced new challenges in his first NFL season, but now coming into this year, he realizes what it's all about. And he's really just taken that in stride and just really made that push for the roster for the starting spot. But talking about J-Jaw is a obviously polarizing player for a number of reasons. I mean, second round pick, probably should have been a fourth round pick, but comes in here and there's a lot of notable names drafted over him or actually behind him, and didn't really do much year one, didn't do anything last year. I think what I see from J-Jaw is when I went back and watched his limited snaps in 2020, I think that he is best suited to play the slot right now. That's my opinion. I've reiterated that a number of times this offseason on a lot of my videos, and I believe he is a big slot receiver. And you're seeing kind of a new generation of not only bigger guys being used in the slot more, but you're also seeing bigger guys just being full-time slots as well, which I don't think that's going to take over the league, but I think it is encouraging to know, like, J-Jaw doesn't have to be the outside guy. Maybe he can contribute out of the slot. I think we saw a lot of times last year, again, when I watched the tape, he looked very good out of the slot because he's not being pressed straight off the line. He's able to work the middle of the field and go make contested catches out there. And I know he didn't make a lot of catches, but I saw him get open a lot of the time when he was in the slot. He just didn't get the ball. I mean, there were a couple times where Carson had him for a touchdown over the middle of the field in the slot and did not hit him. I mean, that first touchdown of the year to Zach Ertz where that drive went just bang, bang, bang. J-Jaw was actually open, and I believe Doug said he was the first read on that play, which it wasn't a bad read. It was good. He kind of like looked J-Jaw's way and then went backside to Ertz, so it worked out really well actually. But I believe he did have J-Jaw open there. But I think J-Jaw could make this team just because we've been hearing, at least I've been hearing rumors. I haven't heard like official reports or anything. I've heard John Hightower is apparently like not motivated right now. Speaking of motivation and stuff like that, I've heard that he doesn't really have a passion for the game. Again, I don't know how true that is, but those are just some of the rumors I've been hearing talked about right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have any more information on that, but if that's the case, I mean, I think Hightower is a good football player. I thought he had a lot, again, another guy who had a lot of wasted routes last year and was really only used as a deep guy when I think he's a lot better underneath and in the intermediate game than people know because he wasn't used there. But, I think John Hightower is definitely a guy who can be a player. But again, if he's not a guy who doesn't want to really be out there, is not really sure if he wants to be a football player at this point, maybe J-Jaw makes the team. But I think J-Jaw can definitely make this roster. It just depends on that third preseason game. Are we going to see that J-Jaw we saw against the Ravens in preseason a couple years ago, and he's going to make that push? I don't actually think he's going to contribute to the team. I mean, I've seen it enough to see that he's not a guy who, when it comes to regular season, he's not going to be able to earn consistent snaps. I mean, he's not a good football player as much as I believe his ceiling is a slot. Maybe someone else will get that out of him. I don't think he's going to be a football player with the Philadelphia Eagles much longer, but I do think he can make the team.
Got you. Yeah, and one thing that he does definitely have in his favor too is that he's a pretty good blocker as a wide receiver. So he's
very good blocker.
He's got some special, he's got some special teams ability. I'm sure that they're going to be taking advantage of being that. If he does make this roster, he's going to be further down the depth chart, definitely. But yeah, I mean, I'm willing to give him 1 year. I'm willing to give him a year under the new coaching staff and to see if he can make some strides forward. If not, then then we can just cut ties with him at that point. But I would hate to just wash our hands with him at this point, and then to see him go flourish somewhere else, kind of like we've seen in recent history with other players. So, that's always in the back of my mind. But I will give him 1 year. Definitely go from there. But it's going to be interesting. I'll definitely have my eye on Mr. J-Jaw this year for sure. So what are your thoughts on we got a couple more questions for you before we get out of here.
Go for it.
What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on the NFC East? You could kind of just give me your overall thoughts on each team, and then what do you think is going to win it, and what's the record going to be?
Yeah, so I'll start from the bottom and work my way up. So I think that who do I have at the bottom? It's really tough. I mean, all these teams have holes, but they also have a lot to give you hope that they're going to end up having a shot to win the division. So I hate Dallas. I mean, they on paper they should win this division. They really should, but they literally, I mean, they always find a way to underperform. Dak, I mean, doesn't sound like Dak's going to be 100% this year. And, I do wish the best for Dak in terms of recovery. Obviously, I hope he sucks when he's on the football field because he's on the Cowboys. But,
right.
I never wish injury upon a player. So I want to beat him at his best, right? So I do wish the best for him in terms of that. But if he's not 100%, that is going to affect them a ton. I still don't think their defense is where it needs to be. I think Dan Quinn is going to make that defense a lot better than it was last year. But I still think they have holes in the defense. Put me down for Dallas at around I think Dallas is going to go 8 and 9-ish. They're going to underperform. Maybe they go 9 and 8, maybe 10. I think 10 and 7 is, I don't want to say it's their ceiling because they have a lot more potential, but realistically, I see them going 10 and 7 at most. Washington. So I'll go Dallas at 8 and 9. That's my prediction. Washington. I just think that I really like Scott Turner as an offensive coordinator, and I love Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick in those two running back sets, and their defense is dominant. But I think Fitzpatrick doesn't fit the way they run their offense in that they ran a lot of last year. Make Alex Smith just make the throws you need to make, the necessary throws, like the bare minimum throws you need to make to win us this game. Please just do that. And he did. And Heineke even looked really good in the playoffs. But Fitzpatrick, I think, is a guy who he likes to try to get the ball down the field a little bit too much, and he likes to take risks. So I think that might bump them down a little bit. I still think they could have a winning record, maybe 9 and 8, 10 and 7, maybe 11 and 6 if all goes well. But I see them around second or third with this, obviously I really do believe in that curse of not repeating as division champions. So I don't see them winning the division, but I see Dallas and Washington as kind of the bottom. I know I'm being biased right now. I got to go with the Eagles near the top, but I do think it's going to come down to the Eagles and Giants. I mean,
Really?
the Giants, I mean, look, I know a lot of people aren't believers in Danny Dimes, but again, I don't think he's going to need to be Superman. I think that they can win with Danny Dimes, and as long as he's not making throws like he did a week or two ago. I couldn't even make an excuse for him on that one training camp throw he made. It was that embarrassing. um,
In the Nest Out West, we don't call him Danny Dimes. We call him Shitty Jones or Danny Peso. Okay?
Danny Pesos. Gotcha. Oh man, but yeah, I mean, or I'll go new one, Danny Pennies as well. But
There you go. That's
yeah,
better.
I mean, Danny, I don't think he's going to be that great, but I do really like Patrick Graham as a defensive coordinator, and you know, I think case could also be made. Jason Garrett didn't really show much to encouragement for Giants fans last year, but I just think with the talent they've added and the way their defense runs, I think the Giants are going to be better than people expect, and I do expect them to really make a run for the division, and then obviously the Eagles are going to win it. I think that the Eagles are. I still have them around 8-9 wins, but I think since I'm going to be biased here, I'll go biased and say they win 10 games. But again, like all these teams, I have them around like the same win rate. Like I can't even really make an accurate record prediction because I just think all these teams are going to be so close together, and I could see any one of these teams winning the division. All of them have a shot, and I'm really excited to see. I'm really excited to see who comes out on top. But obviously, the Eagles are going to win it. The Birds are taking it back this year, and we're going to go to the playoffs and hopefully make some noise. But hey, even if we don't win the division, the wild card was wide open last year. The Bears made it at 8-8. This team could absolutely get a wild card spot.
Yeah, I like the answer. Definitely I think the division to me is going to come down to the Cowboys as long as Dak's going to be able to play at
Right.
pretty much full strength for the most of the year. I still think that they're going to be very competitive, as do I think we are. I think, and then and like you said, I think it's going to be in regards to the wins and losses, we're not going to be too far apart, as in regards to the two, the two top teams and the two bottom teams in this division. I think everyone's going to be in the realm of 7 to 10, 11 wins. Everyone's going to be right in that realm. So it's not going to be too far apart, and it's going to be fun to watch because these division games are always dogfights, and it's crazy because I'm like almost twice as old as you are, and I've been watching football, Eagles football. I mean, just football in general for a long time, and I don't ever remember there being 5 out of the 6 division games in the last 5 out of the 6 weeks of the season. It's insane.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wild.
it really is. Yeah, because the division games are so backloaded. It's like Giants, and then we play the Jets, and then the rest of the season.
Mhm.
And then before that, we only played the Cowboys week 3, right? So we have all the division games left still, and then after the Jets, it's all division games.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane.
Yeah. I'm excited for that backstretch. It's going to be a lot. And
Right?
even like New York, even the Jets too, like we don't
Yeah.
even have to go too far to play them. So that's super nice. And,
It is.
we kind of control our own destiny going into that, depending on how things go, obviously. But
Yeah.
my guess is that we're going to control our own destiny at the end of the season. So
I agree with you. I think we are too. It's going to be very, very fun to watch. And like you said, coming down the stretch, it's going to be very, very exciting. 100%. Yeah,
definitely.
I agree with you. Well, yeah, I mean, hey, if you don't have any questions for me or anything like that, if you have any closing comments, or if you want to let everybody know where they can find you at and all that good stuff that's going on with Mr. Hunter Doyle, now's a good time to do so, my guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll have plenty of questions for you when I get you on my channel, so I'll save them. I'll save them for then. So a little sneak peek there, but yeah,
Sounds
I
good.
mean, again, you guys can find me at InsideTheEagles.com, and Philly on YouTube. It's Philly Insider Podcast. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I mean, I enjoyed the stream. I have a passion for talking birds. I know you do too, Fuego. So it's a great time. It's always so much fun just talking birds, hearing everyone's different perspectives, and just going in depth on the team. I mean, there's never a lack of things to talk about when it comes to the Eagles. Like you said, the media gets annoying at times, but hey, we love them for that too because they give us stuff to talk about. So Appreciate you having me on, man. Just want to say thank you so much. Great questions too. A lot of stuff I like to talk about. And last thing I'll leave you guys with is keep an eye out for Elijah Riley this year. I love what I see from him so far, and I think he's going to be an impact player on the roster. So I'm excited for him.
Hey, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Great job, Hunter. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. It was great talking to you. We're going to do it again on your channel next very, very soon. So, yeah, you guys definitely keep an eye out for that. But yeah, all my Philbillies, I love and appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you guys. Anybody new to the channel, please make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you're feeling the vibe to keep my dreams alive. Much appreciated. Like I always say, you guys, every single one of you out there, you guys are the food and the water to the channel. Without you guys, it does not continue to survive. So please continue to share the content. Help us out, definitely. Go subscribe to my guy here, Hunter Doyle of the Philly Insider Podcast. The description, or I should say the link to his channel is in the description, along with all the other goodies of where you can find the merch for the Nest Out West, things like that. So yes, you guys, thank you so much. We're going to get out of here. Let's see here. Until next time, Philbillies, we fly until we die. Stay mean, stay green. Thanks for viewing me on your screen. But most importantly, keep it fuego. Peace, y'all.